I thought sharing my food with friends every day would make me valuable to them. But on the day I had nothing left, they left me too. And that moment taught me generosity without limits leaves empty. Wait, I need to get this out. I need someone to know what I did and how it destroyed everything. Maybe if I write this down, other guys will read it and not make the same mistake that cost me my family. It started with a text message. Hey stranger, miss seeing around the office. Sarah from marketing. We'd worked together for 3 years before she transferred to the downtown branch. Innocent enough, right? That's what I told as I typed back, miss too. At 11 p.m. while my wife Emma slept next to me. Emma, my wife of 8 years, mother of my 2 kids. The woman who still made me coffee every morning and left little notes in my lunchbox. But Sarah's message felt like electricity. Like someone actually noticed me again. Have to understand, Emma and I had fallen into this routine. Wake, kids work, dinner, kids to bed, TV, sleep, repeat. We were roommates managing a household. When's the last time she looked at me the way she used to? When's the last time we talked about anything except grocery lists and parent-teacher conferences? Sarah remembered when I was funny, when I had dreams bigger than suburban dad. We should grab coffee sometime, she texted the next day. I stared at that message for 20 minutes. Emma was in the kitchen helping our daughter Lily with homework. I could hear them laughing together. My son Jake was building something with Legos in the living room. This should have been enough. But I typed, I'd love that anyway. The coffee happened 2 days later. Just coffee, just old coworkers catching. Sarah looked amazing. She'd always been pretty, but now she had this confidence, this energy. She talked about her new projects, her promotion, her weekend trips to country. Seemed different, she said, stirring her latte. Tired maybe. I laughed, but it came out bitter. Try getting at 5 a.m. to make lunches and driving kids to soccer practice every weekend. Don't miss being spontaneous. Remember when wanted to start that photography business? I'd forgotten I'd ever told her about that. Emma used to encourage those dreams too, before mortgages and daycare costs made them seem childish. Sarah leaned forward. Know what need? An adventure, something just for. That's how it started. Not with some grand seduction or moment of weakness. Just a woman who made me feel I was still the person I used to be instead of just Emma's husband. Or Lily and Jake's dad. We started texting daily. Innocent stuff at first. Work gossip, funny memes. Then it got personal. She'd ask about my day, actually listen to my answer. When I complained about Emma being too tired for date nights, Sarah said Emma was lucky to have someone who still wanted romance. When I mentioned Emma and I hadn't been intimate in months, Sarah didn't judge. She just said, that must be really hard. And somehow that felt like the most understanding thing anyone had said to me in years. 3 weeks of texting led to lunch. Lunch led to after-work drinks. Drinks led to her inviting me to her apartment to see her new place. I should have said no. I should have driven straight home to my family. Instead, I sat on her couch while she poured and told me how refreshing it was to talk to someone who really listened. How most guys her age were so immature. How she'd always wondered what would have happened if we'd met when we were both single, but married. She said, like she was testing something. Technically, I heard say. But it doesn't feel like it most days. She moved closer on the couch. That's so sad. Deserved to feel wanted. When I didn't pull away. I told it was just a moment of feeling alive again. It didn't mean anything, but I went back to her apartment the next week, and the week after that. Each time, I promised it would be the last time. Each time I had a dozen reasons why this was different than cheating. We connected intellectually. Emma and I were basically separated anyway, just living in deserved some happiness. All lies. All excuses. The truth was simpler and uglier. I wanted everything. I wanted the stability and family Emma gave me and the excitement and attention Sarah offered. I wanted to feel like a devoted father and a desirable man. I wanted my safe, predictable and my thrilling secret too. I thought I was smart enough to manage both. Compartmentalize, keep everyone happy. I was about to learn how catastrophically wrong I was. It was a Tuesday when everything fell apart. I was supposed to pick Jake from soccer practice, but Sarah had texted saying had a surprise for me. Some part of me thought I could do both. Quick stop at Sarah's, then grab Jake. I lost track of time. By the time I remembered, it was 7 p.m. and Jake had been sitting alone at an empty field for an hour. Emma had to leave work early to get him. She was furious when I finally got home with some lame excuse about traffic. Was crying, Mark, she said, her voice shaking. He thought we forgot him. I felt sick. My 8-year-old son sitting alone, thinking his parents had abandoned him. All because I was too busy betraying his mother to remember him. That should have been my wake call. Should have been the moment I ended things with Sarah and focused on fixing my marriage. Instead I got defensive. Started an argument about Emma's tone. Made it about her not trusting me instead of me failing our son. And through it all my phone kept buzzing with texts from Sarah asking if I was okay. I was living 2 lives and both were about to collapse. The end came faster than I could have imagined. 3 days after leaving Jake stranded, Emma found the receipt. A restaurant receipt for 2 dinners at Romano's, the place we went for our anniversary. Except this was a Tuesday afternoon when I'd told her I was working late. Who did have dinner with? She asked, standing in our kitchen holding the crumpled paper like evidence. The smart play would have been to confess everything, beg forgiveness for my marriage. Instead I lied again. Client dinner. Jim from accounting came along. Her face went cold. Jim's been in Florida all week visiting his daughter. I talked to his wife yesterday. Completely, undeniably caught. But even then I couldn't tell the truth. I made some story about taking a potential client out, forgetting the guy's name, getting confused about Jim's schedule. Emma just stared at me. 8 years of marriage and she was looking at me like I was a stranger. I don't believe, she said quietly. And that scares me more than any we've ever had. She didn't yell. She didn't throw anything. She just walked upstairs to our bedroom and closed the door. I stood alone in our kitchen, surrounded by finger paintings on the fridge and soccer schedules on the counter, knowing I just crossed a line I couldn't uncross. But instead of coming clean I doubled down. Started covering my tracks better. Deleted text messages immediately. Used cash for everything. Created elaborate lies about where I was going and when I'd be back. The sneaking around almost became addictive. The planning, the deception, the rush of getting away with it. I felt like some kind of mastermind. juggling 2 relationships without either woman knowing about the other. Sarah made it easy to text me the things like, "Can't wait to see," and "make me so happy," and I'd screenshot them like trophies. See, someone actually wanted me. Someone chose me. Meanwhile, Emma grew quieter. She stopped asking where I'd been, stopped trying to start conversations over dinner. We moved around each other like polite strangers sharing a house. The kids noticed. Lily, my 10-year-old, started having nightmares. She'd come into our room at 3 a.m. asking if Mommy and Daddy were fighting. Emma would comfort her while I pretended to sleep, hating but not enough to stop. Jake became clingy. He'd grab my hand whenever I tried to leave the house, asking when I'd be back, making me promise not to forget him again. Each promise felt like swallowing glass. But Sarah was texting me about a weekend getaway. A bed and breakfast 2 hours away, just us, she wrote. No interruptions. No complications. I told Emma I had a work conference. She'd even ask for details. That weekend broke something in me. Not guilt, that would have been healthy. It broke my grip on reality. Lying in bed with Sarah, I actually convinced I was in love. That this was my real and Emma was just some obligation I was stuck with. Sunday night, driving home to my family, I felt like I was returning to prison. Emma was reading in bed when I got home. She looked when I walked in, and for just a second I saw hope in her eyes. Like maybe my being home meant we could start fixing things. How was the conference? She asked. Fine, I said, already pulling out my phone to check if Sarah had texted. The hope died in Emma's eyes. I watched it happen and did nothing to stop it. That's when I knew I was truly lost. When seeing my wife's pain became just another inconvenience to work around. The next Monday everything changed. I was at Sarah's apartment, same routine as always. But when I tried to leave around 8 p.m., she grabbed my arm. Don't go yet, she said. I have something to tell, but the way she said it made my stomach drop. Happy news doesn't require that tone. I think I'm pregnant. The room tilted. Everything went white around the edges. Think, I'm 2 weeks late. I bought a test, but I wanted to tell first. Pregnant. Sarah. Pregnant with my child. My phone buzzed. Text from Emma. Jake has a fever. When we'll be home? 2 lives, 2 women. One potentially carrying my baby while the other waited for me to come home to the family I'd already had. I mumbled something about needing time to process and practically ran from her apartment. Drove around for 3 hours, mind racing. A baby would change everything. Sarah would expect me to leave Emma. She'd been dropping hints for weeks about us being together for real. About not having to sneak around anymore. But leaving Emma meant losing Jake and Lily. Meant destroying their world, their sense of security. Meant alimony and child support and weekend visitations instead of bedtime stories every night. It also meant everyone would know Emma's family. My coworkers. The neighbors. Everyone would know I was the guy who cheated on his wife and abandoned his kids for a younger woman. When I finally got home, Emma was asleep on the couch waiting for me. Jake's fever had broken, but he'd asked for me. She'd told him I'd see him in the morning. Looking at her curd on our couch, still wearing the clothes she'd worn to work, I felt something in my chest. Not enough to confess, not enough to end things with Sarah. But enough to realize I was about to lose everything that actually mattered. The next morning Sarah called while I was making breakfast for the kids. It's positive, she said. I'm pregnant. We need to talk about our future. Our future. While my son ate cereal and my daughter practiced piano in the next room, Sarah was planning our future. I told her I needed a few days to figure things out. She wasn't happy, but she agreed to wait. 3 days later, Emma found the pregnancy test. Not Sarah's test, a different one. Because in my panic about Sarah being pregnant, I'd somehow convinced that Emma might be too. That maybe we could start over, rebuild what we'd lost. So I'd bought a test and hidden it in my car, planning to suggest Emma take it. Some delusional fantasy about a new baby bringing us back together. But Emma found it while looking for my insurance card in the glove compartment. She was waiting in the driveway when I got home from work, holding the box. Whose is this? She asked, her voice deadly calm. I could have told her it was for her. Could have spun some story about surprising her, about hoping we might expand our family. Instead, the truth just fell out of my mouth like it had been waiting there all along. Sarah's pregnant. Emma dropped the box. Her face went completely blank. Sarah from old job. I nodded. Or having an affair. Not a question. A statement. I nodded again. She stood there for a long time just breathing. Then she walked past me into the house. 5 minutes later she came back out with 2 suitcases and our kids. We're going to my sister's, she said. Don't follow us. Don't call. Don't come to the house. Jake was crying, asking what was happening. Lily looked scared and confused. Emma's face was stone as she buckled them into the car. Daddy, Jake called from the back seat. Are coming with us? Emma looked at me over the roof of the car. No, she said. Daddy made choices that mean he can't come with us anymore. They drove away. My family drove away and left me standing alone in my driveway, holding the pregnancy test that had destroyed my. But the worst part. The part that made me want to disappear completely. Sarah texted me that night, false alarm. Not pregnant after all. Lab error. Want to celebrate? I had lost my family over a lie, a mistake. A test result that wasn't even real. And I had no one to blame but the man who thought he could have everything and ended with nothing at all. 6 months later, I'm writing this from a studio apartment that smells like the previous tenant's cigarettes and broken dreams. Emma filed for divorce 3 days after she left. Full custody, the house, half my retirement, everything. My lawyer said I could try for custody at least, but how to explain to a judge why wife left? How to sit in a courtroom and admit chose texting another woman over picking son from soccer practice? The divorce was final last month. I see Jake and Lily every other weekend now. If Emma's feeling generous, court ordered supervised visits because apparently I'm a flight risk who can't be trusted alone with my own children. Last weekend, Jake asked me why I don't live with him anymore. He's 8. How to explain betrayal to an 8-year-old. Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes that can't be fixed. I told him. But say sorry and fix mistakes. He said because that's what we taught him. That's how his world was supposed to work before I shattered it. Some mistakes are too big for sorry. I said. He cried. My son cried because his father is the kind of person who makes mistakes too big for sorry. Lily won't even look at me anymore. She hugs Emma tight whenever I come to pick them, like she's afraid I might steal her away too. At 10 years old, she's already learned that men leave, that promises don't mean anything, that love isn't enough to keep a family together. I did that to her. I taught my daughter that she can't trust the men who claim to love her. The worst part about losing everything isn't the empty apartment or eating cereal for dinner or sleeping alone every night. It's the way people look at me now. At work I'm the guy who cheated on his wife. Conversations stop when I walk by. Nobody invites me to happy hours anymore. The few people who still talk to me do it with this mixture of pity and disgust, like I'm something they might catch if they get too close. Emma's family won't speak to me. Her father, who used to call me son, crossed the street last week to avoid walking past me. Her mother, who made my favorite cookies every Christmas, blocked my number. My own parents are ashamed. They don't say it outright, but I can hear it in their voices when they call. The disappointment. The confusion about how they raised a son who could do something like this. We just don't understand. My mother said during our last conversation, Emma was such a good wife. The children are so young. What we're thinking I wasn't king, that's the truth. I was feeling, wanting, taking, but never thinking about consequences or costs or the people who loved me. Sarah moved to Portland 3 weeks after the divorce was final. She'd gotten tired of being someone's secret, she said, wanted to start fresh somewhere new. This got too complicated. She told me over coffee at the same place where it all started. I never meant for anyone to get. She never meant for anyone to get, as if Emma's pain and my children's confusion were just unfortunate side effects of our connection. As if she'd been sleepwalking through 6 months of text messages and secret meetings and stolen afternoons. What about us? I asked, because some pathetic part of me still thought she might be the answer to all this emptiness. She looked at me like I was insane. There is no us, Mark. There never really was. We're married the whole time. That's when I understood. I destroyed my family for someone who never saw me as anything more than a married man looking for excitement. I was never her future. I was just her fun. She left for Portland without saying goodbye. I found out from her Instagram story. Pictures of her new apartment, her new job, her fresh start. Not a single mention of the wreckage she'd helped create back home. The hardest part is knowing that none of this had to happen. Every step of the way I had choices. I could have deleted Sarah's first text, could have skipped the coffee, could have said no to her apartment, could have confessed after the first instead of doubling down on lies. Every single day I had chances to stop and I chose to keep going instead. Emma's doing better now. I hear things through mutual friends who still speak to both of us. She's in therapy. The kids are adjusting. She started dating someone new last month, a teacher at Lily's school who coaches Jake's baseball team. He's everything I should have been. Reliable, honest. He shows to their games and helps with homework and doesn't make promises he won't keep. Jake likes him. That's what kills me most. My son, who used to wait by the window for me to come home from work, has already found a better father figure than the one who abandoned him. I thought about reaching out to Emma when I heard about her new relationship. Thought about calling to see how she was doing, to tell her I was happy she found someone good. But what right do I have to her happiness now? What right do I have to any piece of her after what I did? The truth is, I don't miss Sarah at all. I can barely remember why I thought she was worth losing everything for. What I miss is the man I used to be before I met her. The father who never missed bedtime stories. The husband who brought flowers home just because. The man who kept his promises and told the truth and loved his family more than himself. That man is gone. I killed him with 1,000 small betrayals and selfish choices. And unlike the fairy tales I used to read to my kids, there's no magic spell to bring him back. Some nights, I lie in this empty apartment and think about what I would say if I could talk to the man I was before all this started. The man who first saw Sarah's text message and thought it was harmless to respond. I'd tell him that the excitement feel when someone new pays attention to isn't worth the lifetime of regret that comes after. I'd tell him that the grass isn't greener on the other side, it's just different grass, and by the time realize that already burned down own garden. I'd tell him that wife might seem boring compared to someone new, but boring means stable. Boring means she'll be there when you're sick, when you're scared, when you're old. Boring means she chose every day for years, even when stopped choosing her back. I'd tell him that kids will remember the father who left more clearly than the one who stayed. That son will spend his whole wondering what he did wrong to make daddy go away. That daughter will struggle against any man who says he loves her, because the first man she ever loved proved that love doesn't mean staying. But mostly, I'd tell him this: whatever think are missing, whatever think deserve, whatever voice is whispering that, could have more if just reach for it, that voice is lying. The only thing waiting on the other side of betrayal is the echo of everything used to have and the unbearable silence of everything lost. Last week I drove past our old house. Emma had planted new flowers in the front yard. There were bikes in the driveway and chalk drawings on the sidewalk. Through the window, I could see someone helping Lily with homework at the kitchen table where I used to sit. It looked like home. It looked like that I away because I thought I deserved better than the people who loved me most. I used to think I was the victim in all this. The unappreciated husband, the overlooked man, the guy who just wanted to feel special again. Now I know the truth: I wasn't the victim. I was the destroyer. The man who thought he could have everything and learned too late that greed doesn't just leave empty. It leaves alone.